Eddie's father's sudden sickness and death caused a break in communication between my two brothers and me at Onisha. I could not find out if Ikenna finally got help from Clement's boss, and so far, I didn't want to bother Eddie until he got over the shock of his father's death. Yesterday, after church service, we returned home for lunch and to host some of Eddie's friends who called in for a condolence visit. Just when I least expected it, he passed the phone to me saying, "Guess who is on the line?" "Your mother," I said. "Wrong," he said with a smile. He passed the phone to me without revealing who was on the other end. "Hello," I said softly. To my greatest surprise, it was Ikenna this time and not Clement as usual. I was confused because Eddie doesn't know his boss, nor has he ever called him. "Brother Ikenna, good afternoon." "Good afternoon, my sister." We heard about what happened to Uncle Eddie's father through Clement's boss, Chief Jackson, who by God's grace is now also my boss. I shouted a crazy and loud, "Thank you, Papa God!" And everyone turned to look at me. I excused myself and ran into the room to continue my gist with Ikenna. After fixing an appointment 2 Sundays ago, Ikenna said, "Oga Jackson came with his wife and Clement to see my Oga. They came with drinks, yams, and 2 live chickens." At first, my Oga, Mr. Olima, was as perplexed and surprised as I was because there had been no previous discussion on their mission or intention. They exchanged the usual pleasantries and breaking of kola nuts, following Igbo traditions and hospitality. Other light refreshments followed before Oga Jackson tabled the purpose of their visit. There was still uncertainty regarding where his talk was heading with regards to the subjects of his discussions. He thanked my boss and his wife for everything they had done for me. He said he had come on behalf of my father to thank them for their kindness. "One more thing, sir," he said to Mr. Olima, my boss. "Understand that Ikenna still has 1 more year of service to render to you before being set free as an apprentice and settled financially to start his own business. Am I correct, sir?" "Yes," Mr. Olima responded. "Things are hard these days, and I've yet to settle the 3 boys who completed their apprenticeship last year. I'm considering extending his agreement period to 4 years instead of 3, so he can get more experience. That will give me more time to gather resources to settle the other apprentices before him." Oga Jackson concurred that things are hard everywhere, but concluded he had an alternative offer to make. "As I said earlier, we are here to thank you for all you have done so far. I've discussed with Ikenna's family and intimated that taking Ikenna away from here entails giving up his 3 years of service. But I have good news for you, sir. His brother Clement has been with me for almost 2 years, and his father desires him to come and live with his brother in my house. I offer to settle him on your behalf for the 3 years of service and exonerate you from every formal and informal responsibility." Mr. Olima couldn't hide his surprise on hearing this, and a damning silence followed. I looked at his wife, whose countenance seemed to question the husband's silence as if to say, "What the hell are you waiting for to jump at the offer?" I wasn't surprised at the silence. Mr. Olima did not know the level of maltreatment the houseboys have been getting from his wife, because each time he was home, Madame would use kind words that made him think we were treated like their children. When her husband is out of sight, she'll become an aggressive tiger and treat us like worthless, parasitic, destitute, consuming her food for nothing. Mr. Olima broke the silence and summoned me to come and speak for myself. "Sister, let me tell you how the drama played out." "Ikenna," he called out. "Sir," I answered and stood up with my hands folded behind me. "Ikenna, or should I call you Mr. Ikenna? Please answer these few questions sincerely." "Okay, sir." "Are you tired of staying with me?" "No, sir." "You want to go and stay with your brother?" I couldn't humble myself enough to answer politely, so I said, "I want to go, sir." "Is there anything I did to you personally that you want me to know?" "No, sir." He paused again as if meditating on my responses. He looked at his wife as if wondering what went wrong, but I was determined not to lay blame on anyone. All I wanted was his consent, as I had secretly gathered my few belongings in a Ghana must-go bag, ready to move on to a new experience. Finally, he turned to his wife and murmured some words I could not comprehend, but it was clear that he blamed her for my determined zeal to go with our visitors. "Sister, you may not understand, but when he mentioned the word okay, I ran as fast as possible to pick my bag before he changes his mind. It's been 1 week since I moved in with them, and now my life is making sense. although my younger brother Clement is practically my supervisor. When I finished talking with my brothers, Eddie returned to discuss burial plans for his late father. He told me that he had decided to shift the family meeting for his father's funeral towards the end of the month to enable me to finish my promotional examination for SS3. He wanted me to come to the meeting with them. In his opinion, they expect him to come with me and use the opportunity to register my name in the various women's family and church meetings. That is to avoid being subjected to levies and fines once his father's death gets officially announced and a burial date is assigned. I briefly met his father, mom, and sisters when I arrived in Onitsha that night. It was already dark, and there was no light. We exchanged pleasantries, but Eddie wished me to the hotel before I could settle down. We returned in the morning to greet them, but didn't even have time to eat breakfast with them, as we had to go to the main market to shop for me. The few other times I talked to his mother were over the telephone, but we hadn't gotten to know each other well. Eddie often cracked jokes by sharing all the awkward behaviors expected of me as a village girl. There were terrible stereotypes they may have heard from some wild-minded haters. One day, his sister Esther questioned my husband, Eddie, on why his wife Adaeze was not yet pregnant. But Eddie didn't know what to say because the phone was on speaker. He looked at me and I covered my mouth to avoid laughing. You see your life, she shouted. You dumped my friend Chinasa here in Onitsha. Went on a rampage in search of your virgin Cinderella from a village not even on the map. I warned you, Eddie, she continued. Well, you swept my warning under the carpet. Some of these village girls have had very rudimentary abortions out there in their villages. Many have damaged wombs and still pretend to be virgins. And big mugus like you keep falling into the same traps. We were holding hands and laughing with our eyes. Brother Eddie, Esther continued, I know you must have suffered a lot of disgrace in the hand of this village girl, especially among your friends. But I know your kind of person. You will rather die than confide your failure in me. But there's only one thing I can assure you. When she abandons you for her peers, you will come on your knees to beg Chinasa to return to you. But it might be too late. We laughed so hard that the gatesman stood up from where he was sitting at the gate and started laughing as if he was part of the joke. At that point, we couldn't hold our laughter any longer, and Eddie had to interrupt the call. She called back almost immediately, and I picked up the phone. The moment I said hello, she hung up on me. All these biases prompted Eddie to take me to the village meeting. He said many of his immediate family and relatives didn't know he got married. I also needed to learn some traditions because he intends to pay the required monetary dues for the Ozo title. Igbo Eguzo, right, after his father's second burial. I tried everything humanly possible to persuade him not to enter this Abalanza society, as it was contrary to our Christian faith. On the contrary, he tried to explain that any man who was man enough in Onitsha was bound to take the Ozo title, as it defined the class and respect you could attain in the entire Onitsha society. Eddie admitted that Ndi Ozo performs many unclear fetish acts and rituals, but one can do some by proxy. The most exciting thing about the Abalanze Society, explained, is that it is a form of pension fund that one enjoys till the day he departs to meet his ancestors. It's a kind of investment which, if made early in life, one will receive back triple what he invested. Furthermore, the Ozo title has become a principal determinant of who is who in Onitsha. It is no longer about tradition or religion, but simply a way of life. Having privileged access to the king's palace and wielding influence among your relatives. The school year finally ended, but the competition was for the upper week. We had 7 more days to prepare. I was determined to give it my best, but knowing the capacity of the other challenges was something that could keep one's heart beating at high speed all night. Eddie kept his promise of using this opportunity to upgrade his knowledge, so we practically interrogated each other on a wide range of computer-related issues, including the history and evolution of a computer from the first rudimental typewriter to the IBM model, Microsoft, and Apple computers. The principal held a final rehearsal for all the participants in their various capacities. She organized a series of old questions they asked during the last 4 editions and had us properly drilled as if winning meant everything to her. She reiterated her usual slogan: "We're not taking part to be seen but to win, and win in a big way. Go for gold," she concluded.